Hello, YouTubers! Halloween is officially over, meaning that it is officially Christmas season. Now this year, I decided to do something very special. I decided to watch all of the Rankin Bass cinematic universe, at least almost all of it, everything that includes the main, holiday Christmas characters, with my younger brother for the very first time. Upon finishing these films, we, or more accurately he, decided to create a power scale tier list of all these Christmas characters, which I will be getting into right now in this very video that you guys are watching now. Starting off, we have the toy tier. This tier is reserved for weak characters and toys. Starting off with the weakest character in the verse, we have the Ice Wall Guy from Rudolph and Frosty Christmas in July. Now, this character holds a lot of knowledge, but from what we see of him, he is just a talking wall. So without any further information, he's gonna have to be classified as the weakest character. Then we have the Misfit Toys from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, who appear to just be talking toys with various disabilities of some sort. Now, these are the only toys in the verse which can talk, so you can say whatever you want about that. But since they're the only ones who can talk, there are no other toys we can compare them to in this list. Then we have the Rabbit from Frosty the Snowman. He is just a rabbit. Then we have Topper from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. He gets the highest tier because I just love him. The highest tier in toy tier. Now we have the child tier. This tier includes almost all of the children in the Rankin verse. Up next we have Frosty and Crystal's kids. Now these guys seem pretty small and are also made of snow, which would make it pretty easy to just step on them and that would instantly end their lives. So it's really unclear how strong they really are, but for now, they are placed here. Then we have Daisy, Fireball, and Rudolph. Let's be honest here, if you were to put these reindeer along with some children in a ring, who's gonna win? The reindeer, which is why they are placed higher. Not the specific reindeer, just reindeer in general. Child reindeer, of course. Lastly, we have the Child Bear from Rudolph's Shiny New Year. Because if you were to put a child bear along with child reindeer and child humans in a death match, the child bear would win. So that's why he's placed where he is. Moving on to the human tier. These include humans along with some special pals, which are every character which are at the same level of human strength. These can be mythical creatures and magical characters and stuff. The special pals include Herbie, the Idiot Reindeer from Rudolph and Frosty Christmas in July, Dixon, Small Edition, Tanta Kringle, the Snow Parston, the Snow Narrator, Jingle and Jangle, the Head Elf, Mama and Papa Bear, Donner's Wife, the Reindeer Coach, the Kringles, and the King of the Iceland of Misfit Toys. And, of course, all of the other humans that are like actual humans. Moving on to the low creature tier. This is where it gets spicy. Now, the first characters on this tier are Frosty and his beloved wife, Crystal. Now, they're on here because Frosty is said to be the fastest bobsledder in the world by the narrator from Frosty the Snowman. And the same goes for Crystal, since they are seen keeping up with each other at the same pace in Frosty's Winter Wonderland. But much like their children, they are slow when it comes to walking and whatnot, and have very low durability, and are incredibly weak to heat. Next we have Big Ben from Rudolph's Shiny New Year, and he is obviously a whale, and, whales have some pretty high stats that would put them on this tier. Next up, we have young Santa Claus from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Santa here does not have any Christmas magic yet, but is a peak-performing human with agility like a squirrel, he can hop like a rabbit, and dump like a dog. Up next, we have Yukon Cornelius from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yukon has a very high battle IQ. We know this because he took down the abominable snowman, also known as the Bumbo. This character has intellect rivaling the ice wall, with knowing that Bumbos bounce and knowing the best way to defeat the snow monster, and I guess sort of tame it, since as we see, he's a good guy by the end of the film. He also has massive durability, since he fell off a cliff, and last time I checked, that hurts. Then we have the abominable Snow himself. He is a big man with big durability. Then we have Eon. He's a big bird, and he's pretty strong. Moving on to the high creature tier. First off, we have none other than Jeffrey Donner himself. Donner has insane high speed, with being able to deliver Christmas presents in only one night. That would place every other one of Santa's reindeer at this exact same point in the tier, except for Rudolph, that red-nosed freak! Next up, we have the Time Idiots from Rudolph's Shiny New Year. These two have connections with Father Time, one of the strongest characters in the Rankinverse. We can assume that they have a bit of time manipulation. Assume, since that is never shown. Now it is time for low magic. Bazoo! Time for magic.
Up first, we have Santa Claus from his appearance in Frosty the Snowman. Santa is shown to be able to reconstruct Frosty's body using some form of Christmas magic in this movie. Up next, we have the Winter Warlock. Winter is shown to possess many magical abilities, but it also seems as if these abilities can be taken away from him. This is explained later when he turns to the side of good. The reasoning behind this is never revealed and remains a mystery to this very day. Moving on to mid-magic.
First up, we have Jackson Frost, specifically the version from Frosty's Winter Wonderland. Jack Frost can create snow, which can be damaging to his foes in this movie. He can also turn things into ice, which can be compared to how Snow Miser can do the same thing. I'm going to give an edge to Snow Miser because he can create massive snowstorms. Now, I know what you guys at home are probably thinking. How can both of these characters coexist? Well, Mother Nature is mentioned to be a character in charge of Jack Frost's little operation in the Jack Frost solo movie. So we can only assume that at some point Mother Nature obtained, somehow, she got offsprings, and essentially just fired and shut down Jack Frost's his whole operation, and replaced it with her son Snow Miser's operation. And that's why Jack Frost is an evil villain in Frosty's Winter Wonderland. He's bitter because his girl left him for the knight in golden armor in Jack Frost, and just because he's lost his job. You know, he's upset because he's not as popular anymore. It literally makes perfect sense, okay? And you can also say that this is why he's visible, since he was invisible in Jack Frost, and in Frosty's Winter Wonderland, he is visible, okay? All these movies are connected. Anybody who says otherwise is dead wrong! Up next, we have Santa Claus from The Year Without a Santa Claus. It's said in Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July that Santa is stronger than Winterbolt at the time of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Seeing as The Year Without a Santa Claus takes place beforehand, we can assume he's gained power and weight in the time between Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Moving on to High Magic! Up first, we have the other Father Times from Rudolph's Shiny New Year. The other two Father Times we see are from medieval and prehistoric time periods. I'd say they're just about even in power, and assuming they have a bit of time manipulation left in them, they can pack some serious fist tags.
Fist taggers.
Fist taggers?
Knuckle sandwich.
Next up, we have Heat Miser. Heat Miser can melt anything in his clutch. He's too much and can firebend. Now you might say, well, doesn't fire melt ice? Shut up! I'm getting into that. Next up, we have Snow Miser. Snow Miser can freeze anything in his clutch and snowbend, but he can also create massive snow storms. By extension, ice and waterbend. So yeah, essentially he can waterbend, and waterbend can counter firebending. Moving on to the second to last tier. The God tier. First up, we have Santa Claus from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now, this is the last point where Santa is stated to have any sort of extra power. As I've said earlier, he's more powerful than Winterbolt at this point in time. So essentially, Santa in the final form we see him in the Rankin Bass cinematic universe, he would be ranked in the God tier. Next up, we have the Baby New Year, also known as Happy, from Rudolph's Shiny New Year. Happy needs another training arc, but with the power on him, he now has full time manipulation, which is one of the most OP powers in the Rankinverse. Up next, we have Mother Nature. Mother Nature controls all nature. No matter if it's earth, fire, water, air, long ago the four nations lived in harmony until the Fire Nation attacked. She has complete control over any form of nature. Moving on to the final tier, the High God tier. Everybody in this tier can solo Goku, no diff. Up first, we have Winterbolt. Winterbolt has an insanely OP set of skills. Those include Thought Implant, Telekinesis, able to summon powerful ice animals, snowstorms, and icebending. He has one main weakness, which is his staff being broken. But all of these high OP characters can solo Goku, and I will tell you why. Winterbolt can put memories in Goku's mind, causing him to just immediately kill himself. He can also control his body and crush him, freeze, seduce him with his devilishly handsome looks, and probably something else too. Up next, we have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph not only took down Winterbolt without even using his untapped power, he did it like mid-diff. Rudolph has the most potential ever. He inherited Lady Borealis' powers of the Northern Lights, and that means he can block any form of magic. Any! And put them to sleep for as long as he wants immediately. Oh, and how does this beat Goku? He can use a barrier to block any key move, and he can put him to sleep for as long as he wants. Even if he can't tap into his powers, he took down Winterbolt with his pure reindeer bod. So, theoretically, Goku and Rudolph can go in a mud pit, and Rudolph will make it out alive. Up next, we have Father Time. Father Time has one of the most OP abilities, time manipulation completely mastered. Although we never see that, we can easily assume that, just based off of the type of person he seems to be, and his surroundings in his little lair, which we see in Rudolph's Shiny New Year. He can age down or age anybody up instantly, if he were to, have these powers, which we are, only assuming.
True, you idiot.
You may be like, actually, it was never shown he can do that, yeah. Well, if you use one brain cell and realize he manages all time, yeah. He can just, boop, change the time of Goku's birth and make him a little baba or an old fart. It's as easy as changing a clock, and anyways, if you put your minds together, Father Time is the strongest man in the Rankinverse. Lastly, we have Lady Borealis. This absolute queen diva, unlike Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, she is a full master in the powers of the Northern Lights. She can block any magic move and put anyone to sleep for as long as she pleases. Even if she may not be in a human form anymore, she is still alive, as seen in Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. She can still use her powers even if she gave a little itty-bitty titty to Rudolph. And if we put both peak Goku and peak Lady Borealis, Lady takes the win. Even if Goku uses UI, the sleep spell, doesn't have to hit. She can just Abazu! And he's asleep. Then it's as easy as stomping his head out. Alright, y'all. That's it. The Rankin Bass Power Scale. I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed this video. Huge shout out to my brother for helping out with this. I could not have made this video without him. His Instagram will be linked in the description below. You guys can go ahead and give that a follow to show your support. Follow me on Instagram too, okay?
No.
Please subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Merry Christmas.
Not Merry Christmas from me.